First contact gone wrong. The Zephyrian war room buzzed with confusion as General Korath stared at the holographic display showing their fleet's devastating defeat. 23 of their most advanced destroyers lay in ruins, drifting chunks of metal in the void of space. The culprit, a single human vessel that had appeared without warning in their territory. "Replay the engagement sequence," Korath commanded, his 6 arms trembling with rage. The massive alien stood 12 feet tall, his crystalline skin reflecting the red emergency lights that bathed the command center. Around him, dozens of his officers watched in stunned silence. The hologram showed their patrol fleet surrounding what appeared to be a small, unremarkable human ship. Intelligence reports had described humans as a primitive species that had barely mastered interstellar travel. Their technology was supposedly centuries behind Zephyrian capabilities. Lieutenant Vex, the communications officer, cleared his throat nervously. "Sir, we have identified the human vessel. It's the UES Pathfinder. Registry number indicates it's a reconnaissance ship with only 8 crew members aboard." 8? Korath's voice boomed across the chamber. 8 humans destroyed nearly a quarter of our border patrol? The tactical replay began, showing the human ship's first response to their demands for surrender. Instead of complying or fleeing, the Pathfinder had done something unprecedented. It moved with fluid grace between their formation, dodging plasma cannons that should have vaporized it instantly. Commander Nexus, veteran of 40 campaigns, stepped forward. His purple skin had turned pale with shock. "General, their pilot executed maneuvers that our computers calculate as impossible. The G-forces alone should have killed any biological crew. Show me their weapons," Korath growled. What followed defied everything they knew about human technology. The Pathfinder's weapons weren't the crude missiles and kinetic rounds there. Intelligence suggested. Instead, beams of concentrated energy tore through Zephyrian shields like they were made of paper. Each shot was precisely placed, targeting critical systems with surgical accuracy. "Computer analysis shows their weapons output exceeds our theoretical maximums," reported Science Officer Quinn. "Energy signatures are completely unknown to our databases." The most disturbing part wasn't the destruction itself, but how efficiently it was accomplished. The human ship never once targeted life support systems or crew quarters. Every shot was calculated to disable rather than destroy. Yet the result was absolute tactical superiority. "Sir," Vex interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from the human vessel." A calm human voice filled the command center, speaking accented but clear Zephyrian. "This is Captain Morrison of the UES Pathfinder. Your aggressive actions have been logged and reported to Earth Defense Command. This serves as your only warning. Withdraw immediately." The transmission ended, leaving the Zephyrians in shocked silence. Korath stared at the tactical display, where his proud fleet lay crippled by what humans called a simple scouting mission. What humanity really hides. General Korath's claws scraped against the metal console as he processed the implications. If this was merely a reconnaissance vessel, what were the humans hiding? The Zephyrian Dominion had ruled this sector for millennia, crushing dozens of species beneath their military might. Yet 8 humans in a scout ship had just humiliated their entire patrol fleet. "Pull up all intelligence files on human military capabilities," he ordered. The data that appeared painted a picture of a young, chaotic species. Humans were described as violent among themselves, fighting constant wars on their homeworld. Their space presence was minimal, with only a few dozen colonies spread across nearby systems. Military doctrine was listed as primitive and disorganized. Commander Nexus studied the files with growing concern. "General, these assessments are 3 years old. What if human technology has advanced beyond our projections?" "Impossible," Korath snapped. No species develops that rapidly. There must be another explanation. But doubt crept into his voice. The battle footage showed tactical awareness that surpassed even veteran Zephyrian commanders. The human pilot had anticipated their every move, countering strategies that had conquered worlds. Science Officer Quinn highlighted anomalous readings. "Sir, energy output from their engines suggests technology we don't understand. Their ship generated power levels that should require fusion reactors 3 times its size." "Maybe they're not as primitive as we thought," whispered Lieutenant Vex. The implications sent chills through the command center. If the humans possess such advanced technology, why did they keep such a low profile? Why allow other species to believe they were weak and defenseless? "Contact our spies in human space," Korath ordered. "I want real intelligence, not these worthless reports." "Sir," Commander Nexus said quietly, "what if there are no spies? What if the humans have been aware of our surveillance all along?" The question hung in the air like a death sentence. Every major power in the galaxy maintained intelligence networks throughout known space. The fact that they had so little real information about human capabilities suddenly seemed less like human isolation and more like human deception. "General," Quinn interrupted, "I'm detecting massive energy signatures approaching our position. Multiple contacts, human configuration." The main display lit up with new contacts. 5 human vessels dropped out of hyperspace, their sleek designs unlike anything in their databases. These weren't exploration ships or civilian transports. These were clearly military vessels, and their energy signatures dwarfed even Zephyrian dreadnoughts. "Incoming transmission," Vex announced. A new human voice filled the command center, carrying authority that made even Korath straighten. "This is Admiral Hayes of the Earth Defense Fleet. You have 30 seconds to withdraw from this system before we consider your presence an act of war." Korath's 4 hearts pounded as he realized the truth. The Pathfinder hadn't been lucky or exceptionally skilled. It had been holding back. Humanity's reconnaissance teams weren't just scouts. They were advanced forces capable of military action that could cripple established fleets. The question that terrified him most wasn't what humans were capable of in war. It was what other surprises they had been hiding while the galaxy underestimated them. Running from the unknown, Admiral Hayes's ultimatum echoed through the Zephyrian command center as the countdown timer displayed 25 seconds remaining. General Korath's tactical mind raced through options, each more hopeless than the last. The 5 human warships maintained perfect formation, their weapons powered, but not yet targeting his remaining vessels. "General, we could attempt a fighting withdrawal," suggested Commander Nexus, though his voice lacked conviction. "With what?" Korath snarled. "Look at our fleet status." The holographic display showed the grim reality. Of their original 30-ship patrol force, only 7 vessels remained combat-capable. The rest were either destroyed or drifting helplessly with critical systems offline. The human reconnaissance ship, that single impossible vessel, had accomplished what should have required an entire battle fleet. 15 seconds remaining, Lieutenant Vex announced, his voice cracking with fear. Korath watched the human vessels through their sensors. Unlike Zephyrian warships, with their intimidating spikes and aggressive configurations, these human ships looked almost elegant. Their smooth hulls suggested advanced engineering, while energy readings indicated power systems beyond Zephyrian. "Understanding. Sir, their weapons are unlike anything we've encountered," Science Officer Quinn reported. "Energy signatures suggest they could penetrate our strongest shields without difficulty." The countdown reached 10 seconds. Korath's pride warred with survival instinct. The Zephyrian Dominion had never retreated from inferior forces. But these weren't inferior forces. They were something else entirely. "All ships, prepare for emergency jump," he commanded. "Retreat to Kepler Station." General, High Command will demand explanations, warned Nexus. Better to face questions than annihilation, Korath replied grimly. As his fleet initiated hyperspace jumps, Korath couldn't shake the image of that single human ship dancing between his formation. Captain Morrison and his crew of 8 had rewritten everything the Dominion believed about human capabilities. If their reconnaissance teams possessed such power, what did their actual military forces look like? The jump to hyperspace felt like fleeing from ghosts. For 3 hours, they traveled through the void, while Korath composed his report to High Command. How could he explain that their superior technology, their overwhelming numbers, their tactical advantage had all meant nothing against human ingenuity? General, Vex interrupted his thoughts, we're receiving priority communications. From Kepler Station, High Command wants immediate debriefing. Tell them we're coming in, Korath replied, then added quietly, and that everything we knew about humans was wrong. As they dropped out of hyperspace near the heavily fortified station, Korath saw other Zephyrian fleets massing. Word of their defeat had already spread, and the military was mobilizing for what they assumed would be a punitive strike against human space. Pride. Before the fall, the War Council chamber on Kepler Station buzzed with aggressive energy as Supreme Commander Vorth reviewed General Korath's report. The massive Zephyrian leader's crystalline features reflected contempt as he dismissed the warnings about human capabilities. You were defeated by fear, not superior technology, Vorth declared, his voice echoing through the chamber filled with military leaders. 1 ship, 8 crew members, and you fled like frightened younglings. Korath stood at attention, his pride wounded, but his tactical mind still processing what he had witnessed. Supreme Commander, their weapons technology exceeds our theoretical maximums. Their pilot executed maneuvers that— Enough! Vorth's 6 arms slammed against the command table. The Dominion has conquered 47 star systems. We will not be intimidated by humans and their tricks. Around the chamber, fleet commanders nodded in agreement. Admiral Zexis, hero of the Centauri campaign, leaned forward eagerly. Give me 200 ships, and I'll reduce their worlds to ash within a cycle. Precisely what they deserve, agreed General Thyron, commander of the siege fleet. These humans need to learn their place in the Galactic Order. Science Officer Quinn, who had accompanied Korath to the briefing, tried once more to present the data. Sirs, the energy signatures we recorded suggest technology we don't understand. Perhaps diplomatic contact. Silence! Vorth's roar filled the chamber. The Dominion does not negotiate with primitives who attack our patrol fleets. Korath watched helplessly as pride and arrogance overruled tactical wisdom. He had seen the precision of human weapons, the impossible grace of their ship movements, the calculated mercy that had spared his crew while crippling his fleet. These weren't the actions of primitive warriors. They were the deliberate choices of a superior military force. The attack fleet will launch in 6 hours, Vorth announced. 300 of our finest vessels will show these humans the price of defying Zephyrian authority. As the council dispersed, Commander Nexus approached. Korath quietly, General, they're making a mistake. We both saw what that single ship accomplished. I know, Korath replied grimly, but pride has blinded them to the truth. Hours later, the largest Zephyrian fleet in decades assembled in space around Kepler Station. Dreadnoughts that had conquered worlds, destroyers that had shattered enemy fleets, carriers filled with fighter craft. The combined firepower could sterilize entire planets. Admiral Zexis broadcast to the fleet from his flagship, the Devastator. Today we remind the galaxy why the Dominion rules the stars. These humans will burn for their insolence. Cheers echoed across communication channels as 300 warships jumped into hyperspace, bound for human territory. Left behind, Korath and his surviving officers watched the departure with growing dread. They don't understand, whispered Science Officer Quinn. If 8 humans in a reconnaissance ship could defeat our patrol fleet, what will happen when they face the entire human military? Cora thought about Captain Morrison's calm voice, the surgical precision of human weapons, the deliberate restraint that had spared Zephyrian lives when annihilation was possible. The humans hadn't been showing off their capabilities. They had been showing mercy. They've just declared war on a species that was trying to avoid conflict, he said quietly. And I fear we're about to learn why the humans have been so quiet in their corner of space. The tactical display showed the fleet's trajectory toward human space, where Earth Defense Command was undoubtedly preparing for the coming storm. Earth's hidden fleet revealed Admiral Patricia Hayes stood in the command center of the EDS Sovereign, humanity's flagship hidden in the shadow of Jupiter's largest moon. Around her, holographic displays showed the approaching Zephyrian armada, 300 warships burning through space toward Earth with obvious hostile intent. "Ma'am, Captain Morrison's report from the Pathfinder is confirmed," reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson. "The Zephyrians interpreted our warning as weakness rather than restraint." Hayes nodded grimly. For decades, Earth Defense Command had maintained the illusion of human limitations, allowing alien civilizations to underestimate their capabilities. The strategy had bought them time to develop advanced technologies without triggering galactic conflicts. "How long until they reach the outer colonies?" she asked. 18 hours at their current speed, replied Navigation Officer Chen. They're heading straight for New Geneva. Hayes activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships, this is Admiral Hayes. Operation Revelation is now active. Humanity's time of hiding is over. Across the solar system, hidden bases activated. From asteroid mining facilities and seemingly abandoned space stations, Earth's true military force emerged. The Ghost Fleet that existed only in classified files materialized as hundreds of advanced warships powered up their systems. These weren't the exploration vessels and civilian transports that other species observed. These were weapons of war, incorporating technology developed in secret laboratories, powered by fusion systems that defied conventional physics, armed with weapons that could reshape battlefields. "Ma'am, Ghost Squadron reports ready," announced Communications Officer Torres. "Stealth ships are in position along the Zephyrian approach vector." Hayes smiled coldly. The aliens assumed they were attacking a young, weak civilization. They had no idea they were walking into a carefully prepared trap designed by the most tactically innovative species in the galaxy. Captain Morrison did his job perfectly, she mused. His restraint maintained the illusion while gathering intelligence on their capabilities. The Pathfinder's encounter had been deliberately controlled. Morrison could have destroyed the entire Zephyrian patrol fleet within minutes, but orders required subtlety. Show enough strength to warn them off, but not enough to reveal humanity's true capabilities. "Admiral, we're receiving transmissions from the approaching fleet," Torres reported. "They're broadcasting threats and demands for unconditional surrender." "Typical," Hayes replied. "They still think they're dealing with primitives." On the main display, the Zephyrian fleet maintained aggressive formation, their weapons powered and shields raised. 300 warships representing centuries of alien military development, convinced of their superiority. "Ma'am, all defensive platforms are online," reported Defense Coordinator Williams. "The Mars orbital batteries are fully charged and the asteroid field installations are ready." Hayes studied the tactical display one final time. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing for this moment, developing technologies that pushed the boundaries of physics, training crews in tactics that combined human intuition with advanced AI support. "Open a channel to the Zephyrian fleet," she ordered. When the connection established, Hayes spoke with calm authority. "This is Admiral Hayes of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are entering human space with hostile intent. Reverse course immediately or face the consequences." The response came quickly. filled with alien arrogance. "Human vessel, you are ordered to surrender immediately. The Dominion will show mercy to those who submit." Hayes smiled grimly. "Mr. Jackson, signal all ships. Let them see what humanity has been hiding." Across human space, stealth fields deactivated, cloaking systems shut down, hidden fleets decloaked simultaneously, revealing the true scope of human military power. Where the aliens expected to find a few dozen primitive vessels, they now faced over 1,000 advanced warships. "Welcome to the real galaxy," Hayes whispered, as her fleet prepared to teach the Dominion why humanity had remained so quiet in their corner of space. The war that would reshape galactic politics was about to begin.